Have you ever moved through a room and felt utterly invisible, yet simultaneously sensed the weight of unseen eyes upon you? Have you ever wondered why, despite feeling overlooked, strangers approach you with sudden, startling confessions, or why children and animals seem to seek out your quiet corner of the world? The common answers fall short. They speak of overt charisma, of calculated charm, of a beauty that announces itself with a thunderclap. But the truth is far more subtle, far more profound, and infinitely more powerful. The reality is that the most potent form of human magnetism is not a performance. It is a presence. It is an unconscious signal broadcast from a soul that is undergoing a deep and seismic shift, a process of becoming whole. What if I told you that these strange, quiet moments of connection are not random accidents, but evidence of a powerful, magnetic allure you possess? An allure that grows not from seeking attention, but from the courageous act of turning your attention inward. We are not talking about the fleeting attraction of the ego, but the gravitational pull of the self. Today, we will uncover the 12 subtle signs of this profound magnetism, signs that reveal your power even when you feel most unseen. And stay until the very end, because the 12th and final sign is not just a sign. It is the destination, the very reason for the journey itself. To understand this phenomenon, we must step beyond the superficial language of modern attraction and into the deeper lexicon of the psyche. The renowned psychologist Carl Jung spent his life mapping these hidden territories, and he gave us a framework to understand what is happening when a person becomes inexplicably, powerfully magnetic. He called the journey toward this state individuation, the process of becoming an individual, meaning undivided, whole. According to Jung, we are all born with a complete blueprint for ourselves, the self, but life forces us to fragment. We develop a persona, a mask we show the world to be accepted, loved, and safe. We suppress the parts of ourselves that are deemed unacceptable, our anger, our ambition, our wildness, and banish them to what he called the shadow for a woman. This often means repressing her inner masculine energy, her animus, which governs logic, assertion, and action, because society has told her to be passive, receptive, and accommodating. She lives as a half, perpetually seeking her other half outside of herself, wondering why she feels so empty. The magnetic woman, the woman we are exploring today, is one who has stopped this external search. She has embarked on the terrifying, sacred journey of individuation. She is turning inward to reclaim her lost pieces. She is facing her shadow, integrating her animus, and peeling away the persona to allow her true self to emerge. The magnetism we see is the faint, beautiful glow of this inner alchemy. It is the world unconsciously recognizing a soul that is courageously stitching itself back together. The 12 signs are not tricks to be learned. They are the emergent properties of this sacred, internal work. They are the evidence that you are coming home to yourself. Before this awakening, she was a ghost in her own life. She existed in the spaces between other people's expectations, a carefully curated collection of agreeable traits. She learned the art of shrinking, of making her brilliant mind seem less intimidating, her passionate heart less demanding, her profound intuition less strange. She was the woman who gave until her own well was a desert, who loved until she no longer recognized her own reflection in the mirror. Love, for her, was not a communion of two whole souls. It was a desperate bargain for validation. She offered pieces of herself as currency, hoping someone would finally see her and declare her worthy. Her relationships were a repeating script of the same tragedy. She would find men who were themselves fragmented, men who unconsciously sought a woman to carry the emotional depth they feared in themselves. They were drawn to her light, but only so they could cast their own long shadow upon it. They would say things like, "You think too much," or "You're too sensitive," which were really confessions of their own shallowness, their own emotional cowardice. She mistook their need for love. She confused their dependence on her energy for genuine connection. She became an emotional caretaker, a fixer of broken men, believing that if she could just heal him, he would finally be able to love her fully. But you cannot pour from an empty cup, and you cannot build a home in another person's soul. She gave away her power piece by piece, begging for crumbs of affection from tables where she was never meant to have a seat. She lived in a state of perpetual hunger, a quiet ache of loneliness that persisted even when she was wrapped in someone's arms. The change did not come like a lightning strike. It arrived as a slow, creeping dawn after the longest of nights. It was born from the accumulated weight of 1,000 tiny disappointments, 1,000 moments of realizing the person she was contorting herself for would never truly see her. The pain finally stopped being just pain and started being information. The exhaustion finally became a teacher. This was her turning point. It was the moment she finally understood that the gaping void she felt was not a space to be filled by someone else, but a space that belonged to her. It was the chasm left by the parts of herself she had abandoned. And so began the descent. The journey of individuation is not a gentle, sunlit path. It is a grueling pilgrimage into the underworld of your own psyche. She had to turn around and walk back through the wreckage of her past, not to dwell there, but to collect the lost pieces of her soul. She had to face the ghosts of her younger self, the girl who learned that her needs were an inconvenience. She had to sit with her shadow, the rage she had swallowed, the ambition she had neutered, the unapologetic power she had been taught to fear. She had to look it in the eye and say, "You are not my enemy. You are a part of me." This is the terrifying work that most people spend their entire lives avoiding. It is easier to point fingers, to blame lovers, to curse fate. It is infinitely harder to take radical responsibility for your own fragmentation and begin the slow, meticulous work of rebuilding. She learned to nourish herself with silence, to find companionship in solitude. She made a pact with herself, a sacred vow whispered into the darkness. Never again. Never again will I betray myself for the comfort of another. Never again will I accept a love that costs me my own soul. This was the moment she stopped being a character in someone else's story and started becoming the author of her own. And as she does this work, strange things begin to happen. The world begins to respond not to her old mask, but to the emerging truth of her being. This brings us to the first sign of your hidden magnetism: quiet observation. You notice people watching you, not in a predatory or overtly flirtatious way, but with a quiet, contemplative curiosity. In a cafe, on public transport, in a meeting, their gaze lingers for a moment too long. This isn't because you've suddenly become more conventionally beautiful. It is because your presence has changed. A fragmented person broadcasts a frantic, needy energy. They are constantly scanning the environment for approval, for a reflection. But a woman who is becoming whole radiates a quiet, self-contained energy. She is a still point in a turning world. This stillness is profoundly magnetic. It disrupts the social noise. People are unconsciously drawn to it because it represents a peace they crave but do not know how to find. They are not looking at your face. They are looking at your aura. They are sensing the coherence of a soul in the process of integration. The second sign is the phenomenon of unsolicited confessions. Suddenly, people you barely know, the barista, a coworker, the person sitting next to you on a plane, begin to tell you their secrets. They share their deepest fears, their regrets, their hidden shames, often with a sense of surprise at their own vulnerability. Why does this happen? Jung would say it is because you have begun to face your own shadow. By accepting the dark or rejected parts of yourself, you create a psychic space of non-judgment. People can unconsciously sense that their own shadow is safe with you. You are no longer projecting an image of perfection, a persona that implicitly judges their own imperfections. Instead, you radiate an earthy, compassionate authenticity. You have been to the underworld of your own psyche and returned, and this makes you a safe harbor for others who are still lost at sea. You become a walking confessional, not because you offer advice, but because your presence wordlessly communicates. I see all of you, and none of it is too much. The third subtle sign is that animals and children are drawn to you. These beings operate on a primal, intuitive level, uncorrupted by social conditioning and intellectual defenses. They cannot be fooled by a charming persona or a carefully constructed image. They respond to raw energy. When a dog who is typically shy walks up and rests its head on your knee, or a small child in a supermarket stares at you with wide, unblinking eyes, and offers a spontaneous smile, it is a powerful validation. They are sensing the congruence within you. They feel the lack of inner conflict, the absence of that frantic, discordant energy that characterizes most adults. A person at war with themselves emits a frequency of anxiety and inauthenticity. A person who is integrating their psyche and coming home to their self radiates a calm, coherent energy field. Animals and children are the purest barometers of this energetic shift. Their attraction is a testament to the peace you are cultivating within. The fourth sign is as undeniable as it is often unsettling. You begin to trigger strong, polarizing reactions. As your authentic self emerges, you become a mirror. For some people, looking at you is an inspiration. They are drawn to your light, your courage, your serenity. They see in you a reflection of their own potential, the person they could be if they had the courage to do their own inner work. But for others, looking at you is an unbearable affront. Your wholeness highlights their own fragmentation. Your self-possession illuminates their own insecurity. Your peace agitates their inner chaos. These individuals will react with inexplicable criticism, envy, or passive aggression. They might call you intimidating, arrogant, or cold. Understand this for what it is: a shadow projection. They are not reacting to you. They are reacting to the parts of themselves that you force them to see. A magnetic, individuating woman does not create harmony everywhere she goes. She creates truth. And the truth is a comfort to some and a terror to others. Do not be discouraged by the negative reactions. They are as much a sign of your growing power as the positive ones. This leads directly to the fifth sign. Your no carries unprecedented weight. In the past, your boundaries were porous. Your no was often a hesitant question, a plea for understanding that could be easily debated, negotiated, or guilt-tripped into a yes. It came from the persona, the part of you that feared disapproval. But now, when you say no, it lands with the finality of a gavel strike. It is calm, clear, and non-negotiable. This is because the word is no longer emerging from a place of fear, but from the core of your integrated self. It is not an attack on the other person. It is a declaration of your own sovereignty. People, especially those who were accustomed to your compliance, will feel this shift viscerally. They may not like it, they may even resent it, but they will, on a deep, instinctual level, respect it. They are not just hearing a word. They are encountering the unshakable energetic boundary of a woman who knows her own worth and is no longer willing to betray herself. Your no has become a sacred act of self-preservation. The sixth sign of your emerging magnetism is the power of your silence. We live in a world that fears silence, that rushes to fill every empty space with noise, chatter, and opinion. Previously, you may have been part of that rush, feeling an anxious need to explain yourself, to justify your feelings, to win an argument, to fill an awkward pause. But now you have discovered a new power. In a tense conversation or a heated disagreement, you find you can simply hold your space. You can listen without formulating a rebuttal. You can remain calm, centered, and silent. This is profoundly disarming to others. Your silence is not empty. It is full. It is full of self-assurance. It communicates that you are not dependent on their agreement for your emotional stability. You are not rattled by their chaos. This unnerves people who are accustomed to controlling others through emotional reactivity. Your silence forces them to confront their own agitation. It short-circuits their patterns of manipulation and control. It is not a passive act, but an intensely active one. It is a quiet declaration that you are the sole authority of your inner world. Sign number 7 is a paradox. People begin to misinterpret your peace as aloofness or arrogance. As you detach from the frantic need for external validation, an inherent serenity settles upon you. You no longer perform for an audience. You don't laugh at jokes that aren't funny to please others. You don't offer opinions simply to be part of the conversation. You are content within your own skin, and this contentment is a foreign language to those who still live in the prison of the persona. They will see your calm and call it coldness. They will see your self-containment and call it arrogance. They will see your selectivity in friendship and call it being stuck up. They are trying to fit you into a familiar box, and when you do not fit, They label the box defective. It is crucial to understand that this judgment is a reflection of their reality, not yours. They cannot comprehend a woman who is not desperately auditioning for a role in their life. Your peace is a mystery they mistake for a threat. Do not let their misinterpretation tempt you back into the performance of being someone you are not. The eighth sign is the emergence of mirroring compliments. This is distinct from generic flattery. Instead of saying, "You look nice," people start to say things like, "I wish I had your courage," or "I'm so impressed by how calm you are," or "How do you stay so true to yourself?" Notice the pattern. They are not just complimenting a trait. They are acknowledging a state of being that they admire and desire for themselves. In Jungian terms, you are acting as a vessel for their own aspirational self. They are seeing their own highest potential reflected in you. This is a profound form of attraction. It's not about wanting to possess you, but about wanting to become more like the energy you embody. You are not just a person to them in that moment. You are a living symbol of freedom, authenticity, or peace. These compliments are guideposts, assuring you that the inner work you are doing is becoming visible, radiating outward and touching the souls of others in a meaningful way. As your inner world aligns, your outer world begins to conspire in your favor. This is the ninth sign, a marked increase in synchronicity. Synchronicity was Jung's term for meaningful coincidences, the seemingly chance events that are so improbable and so perfectly timed that they feel orchestrated. You think of an old friend, and they call you that afternoon. You need a specific piece of information, and you stumble upon a book that falls open to the exact right page. You are wrestling with a decision, and the lyrics of a song on the radio provide a sudden, piercing clarity. This is not magic in the superstitious sense. Jung saw synchronicity as the tangible evidence of the connection between the psyche and the material world. As you become more individuated, more aligned with your true self, you are essentially in tune with the underlying order of the universe. You are no longer fighting the current of your own life's path. You are flowing with it. These synchronicities are the universe winking at you, affirming that you are on the right track, moving in harmony with your own destiny. The 10th sign that your magnetism is growing takes place in the hidden theater of your mind. Your dream life becomes more vivid and meaningful. Dreams, for Jung, were not random neural firings. They were direct communications from the unconscious. They are the primary language of the self. As you begin the work of individuation, your unconscious sees that you are finally listening. In response, it begins to speak more clearly, more urgently. Your dreams may become more intense, more symbolic, populated with archetypal figures. The wise old man, the wild woman, the shadow figure. These are not just dreams. They are dialogues with the deepest parts of your soul. They are offering guidance, warnings, and revelations. Paying attention to your dreams, perhaps by keeping a dream journal, becomes an essential part of your journey. It is a way of honoring the wisdom that is bubbling up from within. This rich inner life is a source of profound strength and guidance, a secret wellspring that feeds your outward presence, making it more grounded, mysterious, and authentic. The 11th sign marks a fundamental shift in your entire mode of operating in the world. You stop chasing and start attracting. Think of your life before. How much energy was spent in pursuit? Chasing love, chasing approval, chasing a promotion, chasing a feeling of being enough. It was an exhausting, endless marathon fueled by a sense of lack. The individuating woman puts down the running shoes. She reorients her energy. Instead of pouring her power outward in pursuit of things, she pours it inward, into her own growth, her own healing, her own joy. She becomes a gardener tending to her own soul. And a beautiful, well-tended garden does not need to chase butterflies. The butterflies come. This is the law of resonance. By cultivating a state of wholeness, peace, and authenticity within, you become a vibrational match for people and opportunities that resonate with that same frequency. Love, friendship, and success cease to be things you hunt for and become things that find you. It is a shift from striving to allowing, from controlling to receiving. This is true power. And now we arrive at the 12th and most profound sign of all. It is the sign that contains all the others, the one that signals a true arrival. It is this, you still feel invisible sometimes, but it no longer hurts. Feels like peace. This is the ultimate paradox. The entire journey toward this deep, authentic magnetism leads you to a place where you no longer need the magnetism to feel worthy. The desperate craving for visibility, the ache of being overlooked, has dissolved. You can walk into a room and not be the center of attention, and instead of feeling a pang of rejection, you feel a quiet sense of freedom. You have finally, truly come home to yourself. Your own inner world is so rich, so fulfilling, that the external world's validation is merely a pleasant bonus, not a vital necessity. You have become your own source. The emptiness has been filled, not by a person, but by your own reclaimed presence. This is the state of sovereignty. It is the quiet, unshakable confidence of a woman who has journeyed into her own depths and discovered that she was the treasure she was seeking all along. This feeling is the true prize. The magnetism that radiates from it is simply the beautiful, effortless consequence of a soul at peace with itself. This woman, this archetype of the individuated feminine, becomes a quiet force of nature. She is a threat to the old paradigm, the status quo that profits from female insecurity. She makes people uncomfortable because she cannot be easily categorized or controlled. She shatters the unspoken social contract that a woman must be a pleasing object, an emotional support system, or a damsel in need of rescue. Men who operate from their own unconscious wounds, men who need a woman to be a canvas for their projections or a mother for their undeveloped emotions, will find her terrifying. They will call her too independent or complain that she doesn't need anyone, failing to understand that her independence is not a rejection of connection, but a prerequisite for a healthy one. She has integrated her own animus, her own inner masculine, so she is not looking for a man to provide her with strength, logic, or a sense of direction. She seeks a partner who has done his own work, a conscious man who can meet her in her wholeness, not a boy who wants her to mother him. She has dismantled the happily ever after myth and rewritten it as happily ever whole. The journey from fragmentation to wholeness, from chasing love to embodying it, is the most sacred pilgrimage a human being can take. It is the path of the soul's homecoming. The magnetism it creates is not a trick of the light. It is the undeniable radiance of a person who has dared to face themselves completely and has fallen in love with what they found there. The love that comes to her now will not be salvation. It will be a celebration. It will not be two halves making a whole, but two wholes creating a universe. Her solitude is no longer loneliness. It is a sacred space. Her heart is no longer a begging bowl. It is a throne. She has learned the ultimate lesson. The person you have been waiting for your entire life is you. If this message has touched something deep within you, if you have felt the whisper of these signs in your own life, know that it is no accident. This is your own soul calling you to begin the journey, or affirming that you are already on the path. This is your invitation to come home. If this exploration of the soul's magnetism resonated with you, if it stirred a sense of recognition within your own spirit, then let that resonance guide your next action. This is not just a video, it is a transmission. By sharing it, you are helping to spread a message of empowerment that the world desperately needs. Like this video, not as a passive gesture, but as a conscious acknowledgement of the truth it holds for you. And in the comments below, share which of the 12 signs you have felt most powerfully in your own life. Your story is a vital piece of this collective awakening. Finally, subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications, so that you may continue to receive messages that nourish your journey of becoming. Let us continue to choose depth over shallowness, wholeness over fragmentation, and truth over illusion, together.